afternoon, everyone, and welcome to... Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time at Harrison Young in May at Area 58. Hit the wrong button there. It's a one for the blooper reel. We'll take it. It's no problem. It's been a while since I've done an in-person show, but today I have a young lady here who's right in the neighborhood. Her name is Kat. How do you say it? Speranzini? I don't want to say it wrong.
Speranzini.
Close. Okay. Very good. I nailed it. Okay. She's a published author. She just started her own publishing company. We're going to talk all about that. She's brought a couple of books with her. But before I get to her, I got to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. So, we have New England Florscapes in Middleborough. We have Madigan Land Surveying in Middleborough. We have the Cornerstone Barbershop in Pembroke. We have the Hanover House of Pizza in Hanover. They make delicious Sicilian pizza, Greek salads, have wonderful people working there, and they deliver. We have Carver Jewelers right here in the building, Ronald Dyer and Lyle Delano Goldsmiths. We have Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We have good old Dave's Automotive in Hanson, right up the road and on Route 58. We have Crazy Axe's Rec Center in Hanover. We have Countertops Express in North Attleboro, experts in the installation and removal of quartz and granite. We have Pal's Driving School in Middleborough. Check that website, setting up classes for July and August. We have Torm Auto in Middleborough. We have Kingston Auto Body in Kingston. We have the Gun Runner LLC, the Second Amendment Freedom Store in Middleborough, known for customer service, pricing, and selection. And we have DNS Auto Works in Abington on Route 58, right up the road. And I want to thank you guys very much. And now, Kat, thank you for doing my show tonight. Hang on, I dropped something, no problem. And I love that snake on your arm, by the way. How many? Is that more than one snake, or is that just?
Just one. Goes all the way around.
Goes all the way around. Okay, I was thinking maybe it was a snake loving or something. No. I have to ask about when somebody comes in that's illustrated. I always have to ask about the meanings of those tattoos because you're making a statement, and I'm curious. Inquiring minds want to know, and this is what we do in this industry. So, would you mind explaining those? If not, that's fine. We'll move on. But I'm curious.
Yeah, I used to own a snake, so this was kind of an ode to her.
Okay, so she was your pet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Okay. What about the other one? What do you got on the other side?
This one actually is a bull skull and some flowers from Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is where I was born.
Okay, you were born and you told me an amazing story. You want to talk about now? I don't know if you're old enough to remember. You just had your birthday the other day.
I did.
Yeah, I'm thinking. My father just had his. He just turned 89, and we had a party for him, and we posted that on Facebook. I figured you're probably in your early 30s by now. I'm guessing.
31. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You were born in 1993 on that date, May 6, 1993. It was a Friday. I remember it well. I have a photographic memory for dates, and I can. Wow. Yeah. So that's what I do. Okay. Actually, it was a Thursday. I screwed that up, but sometimes that happens. Okay. So you grew up you were born in Albuquerque. I like to jokingly call it Albuquerque, and we've done a couple of shows to New Mexico here by Zoom, but. So what was the story behind that? You were a week old, and then you came and lived in Duxbury for most of your life. How did that come to be?
Yeah, it was through an adoption agency. I was technically adopted before I was born. All the paperwork was filled out when I was a week old, and I was the youngest ever to fly on, I think it was American Airlines.
Wow.
They gave me a little certificate and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, they gave you a certificate. Wow, you must have felt pretty special.
Well, I didn't know at the time.
Right.
But, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I thought I was the youngest one to ever fly in an airplane. I came up to Massachusetts when I was 2 months old because I was born in North Carolina because my father was in the service. Wow. But you were only like 2 days, a week old?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 or 6 days, yeah.
So you moved. So you came right to Did you ever go back to Albuquerque and just see it?
I have. Yeah, I've been back a few times to visit my birth family. It's a beautiful place. I love it there.
Oh, okay. It is. So there used to be a book in the '80s called Megatrends. You may not be old enough to remember that, obviously, but back in the '80s. And I got this book in college when I was doing journalism. It was a tendency of a lot of people in the United States to travel from the northeast part of the country, which is where we are, to the southwest part, which is where Albuquerque is in New Mexico. Okay. And a lot of people did that, but obviously you did the opposite at a very young age. But okay, so what were you like growing up? I like to find out what my guests were like growing up and how they aspired to what they're doing now. So tell me a little about your childhood. What did you aspire to? What did you want to be when you grew up, and what did you do about it?
I think originally I wanted to be a veterinarian. I loved animals.
Yep, I still love animals. I get it. Okay.
But then when I was about 6 or 7, I started writing stories and giving them to my mother, and she was very encouraging. So I really wanted to be an author since I was around that age. Sweet.
I concur. I've published a couple of books myself. And what kind of stories? Fiction?
I always wrote fiction stories. Yeah, realistic fiction. Usually.
Okay, of course.
But lately, I've been doing poetry. So.
Okay. You've just recently started poetry?
Yeah, since a few years ago, I took poetry classes at Emerson.
Okay.
And then about 5 years ago, I put out a short poetry collection.
Okay.
And I just put out my first full-length collection the beginning of this year.
Congratulations. Oh, well, wait a minute. What happened between 5 years ago and just this year? What did you do 5 years ago? You put out a first collection of poetry then?
I started working on it.
You started
then.
working
I
on
put
it then, but you
out-
didn't feel like it was good enough to put out until this year.
Well, yeah, I put out a short collection in 2020 of poems I had started working on about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then I really didn't have enough poems for a full collection until this year, so that was a lot of work.
That's interesting. I know exactly what you're saying. I put out a book of poems in 1978 when I was 18 and a half. And my book of short stories took me 10 years to create. I started it in the early 90s, and I never thought I'd have enough material to finish until the late 90s. And the book amazingly came out right at the end of the century.
Wow.
So it was and I assume that was your thing. When you started it, you probably didn't think you'd have enough material, that you felt was good enough to publish. And then eventually you got into it and you did. Is that right?
Exactly.
See,
Yeah.
I know exactly what that is. You had the same syndrome I did. Now, what did you major in at Emerson?
Writing, literature, and publishing.
Okay. All right. Now, you brought a couple of books with you. Tell you what I ask you to do. I want you to hold each one up and give us a little synopsis of what they are, if it's okay.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, just one at a time, and take your time, and don't give away too much if you don't want to. I don't blame you, but just make sure that we get a pretty good idea of what you're talking about here.
This was my first one. This is the short collection.
Okay. Of poetry or stories?
Of poetry and stories,
Okay.
actually. It's called Tastes Like Goodbye, and it talks about the end of a relationship, essentially.
Okay.
Just a lot of poems about finding yourself after a relationship ends.
Okay. Well, all right, I understand. Okay. And then what about the other one there? That's got a nice photograph on the cover.
Yeah, so this is the proof copy, so it has the not for resale across. But
Okay.
this is the new cover I just came out with this month, and this one's called Watercolor Souls. This one is, again, kind of about the end of a relationship.
Okay.
But it goes through a relationship with a narcissist, and then a lot of introspective poems toward the end, a lot of really hopeful poems about building yourself back up.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you say relationship with a narcissist, I mean, I sort of am. I hate to say this, but I'm kind of a narcissist, so I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be a narcissist, but I also know that if you're a narcissist that annoys people, you're not going to have a good relation. You're going to have a hard time finding a good relationship for yourself. And I know because I'm living that in my life right now. Mm-hmm. So I know all about that, and I assume there's kind of a connection between that and you and what you have. The difference is that some narcissists are much better at hooking up than others, and I'm just one that is not, which is hard to believe considering how good I am doing a show like this, but I get it, though. I know it's tough to be a narcissist because it is. I know how tough it is because being a narcissist is you sort of have to you have to keep tooting your own horn, and you feel like you're under pressure to, and it's all internal because people don't want to hear about how good you are and everything. They get sick of it soon, after a while. But you feel like if you don't do it, then who's going to care? So it's sort of a double-edged sword. I don't know if you've ever dated a narcissist, but I'm kind of guessing that some of the stuff is from your own real life experience. If you want to tell us, that's fine, and if not, that's fine too.
Yeah, I definitely pull from real life experiences.
Okay.
A lot of it's embellished. Timelines are changed. It becomes fictional in that way.
Okay.
But a lot of it, yeah. So I have dated narcissists before.
Yep.
A lot of people with avoidant personalities. It's
Yes.
not a fun time.
Yeah, I understand. I know. Okay, that's okay. I understand. So now you have a child, right?
I have two.
Two. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I assume they're small. If you're only 31, they couldn't be too old.
I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Okay, that's awesome. So how are they? Did you ever write anything about them? Do they? They're obviously they're small, but I mean, at this point in life, they obviously probably know what their mommy's doing for recreation, and I'm sure they were pretty impressed with it. Are they involved with this in any way?
They have been to open mics that I've been to where I've read poetry.
Okay.
And my son mostly just yelled, "Mommy, sing a song," while I was reading poetry, but they don't understand.
Well, and that having been said, can you sing? Have you ever sung before? Done anything music?
Yeah, I am working on singing right now. I haven't done an open mic yet, but I go to Soundcheck open mic in Pembroke every Monday, so hopefully soon.
Soundcheck, where's that? Is that a club in Pembroke?
Yeah, it's called Soundcheck Studios. It's in Pembroke. It's my favorite open mic around here. So.
Huh. All right. Tell me a little about is it on Route 58 or Route 53?
It's right off the highway.
Okay.
So I'm not exactly sure what
I mean, I
street
go
it's
through
on.
Pembroke every week. I got a lot of underwriters there, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out where it is. So what exactly? It's a studio with an open mic session that goes on regularly. Is that it?
Yeah, so every Monday they do an open mic,
Okay.
and it is a studio, so they have practice space there as well to rent out, but mostly they do shows. Like, it's a pretty big venue.
Okay, so it's kind of like it's almost, and they serve food, I assume, right? Right?
They order pizza sometimes, but no, there's no food, just a
Okay,
bar.
I understand. Okay, so you can. That sounds like a pretty unique place. Okay, are there a lot? Does it have a lot of patrons usually?
Oh yeah, the open mic is really popular, and when they have shows there, they're usually sold out.
I'm sure they are. Okay, and how big is the place? Like how many seats can they fill?
It's standing room only, but they do have space for maybe 400 or 500 people. It's pretty big.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I got to check it out. All right. And so, how often have you gone there so far? You brought your son with you, so obviously, I'm guessing your son. Which one is your son? The oldest or the youngest?
Yeah, he's the oldest.
He's the oldest. He's 4. I mean, and you brought him to those events, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm guessing that there are certain things. There are some open mics where you can be sensitive. You have to watch what you say if you're going to bring children with you. I assume that this isn't one of them, right?
That's
Or this
true.
is one of them.
It depends. If there's children in the audience, people will be sensitive, but usually it's a 21 and over crowd. So.
It is, but you don't have a problem bringing your kid, your son.
Well, I didn't before. They made it 21 and over recently, so this was a while ago.
Oh, okay. All right. I understand. Okay. So have you ever done anything else in life, aside from writing? Have you ever done any modeling? Have you ever done do you do painting, sculpting, anything like that?
Not really, no. I used to write songs, so I did a little bit of lyrics and singing, that kind of thing when I was younger. And I've done modeling a bit, but nothing professional, really.
Okay. Now, when you used to write songs, did you write them for other people, or did you write them for yourself, or both?
A lot of my friends were musicians, so we
Okay.
would collaborate on things.
Okay.
But it was mostly just for us.
Oh, well, all right. And when you say collaborate, did you perform with them?
Like, I would write the lyrics and they would do the music.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't. Okay, but now you're talking about possibly breaking into singing too, right?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay. Well, you sound like you have a nice voice.
Thank
If you
you.
want to sing something a cappella today here on my show, you're certainly more than welcome to. But that's up to you.
I'm all set, thanks.
Okay. What about acting? You ever done any acting?
I did a little bit in high school and college, but no, nothing professional.
Did you go to Duxbury High School?
I went to Notre Dame Academy.
Oh no, that's right. I remember reading that. That's in Hingham.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm guessing class of 2011.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I know, because usually people graduate high school in their 18th year of life. You were born in '93. That means you were 18 in 2011.
You're much better at math than I am. Yeah,
It's not even
that's
math. I'm not that good at math. I sucked at math. I actually flunked geometry 3 times in high school. So,
Oh my gosh.
But it's just a matter of, I just know because it's almost like the 7-day rule. I can remember days of the week because, if I can do sometimes in multiples of 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know the day of the week you were born, for instance. Like I had to think it through a little bit. All right. So what are you currently working on?
So right now I'm working on my publishing company.
Tell me about your publishing company.
So I just started it about a month or 2 ago. It's called Grey Coven Publishing.
Okay.
And we have a submission call right now going on until July 1st for anthology submissions.
Okay.
So poetry and very short stories.
Okay.
And that's going to come out in September. I'm really excited. We already have it halfway full. So
Sweet. Okay. Where is it located?
I just do it out of my home.
From your
so-
home, okay. Yeah, but in order to do it out of your home, do you have a lot of people coming to your house to what do you call it? To incorporate themselves with try to land manuscripts or give you manuscripts for you to publish. Is that how that works?
They mostly send them to my email.
Okay.
I do have 2 people right now that are helping me go through submissions and decide what to keep and what not to keep. So I have met with them a few times.
Okay.
But other than that, it's pretty much all online, which was kind of what I intended to do.
Right.
Most of the poets I've connected with are poets I've met through Instagram. So a lot of these people are people that post their poems on Instagram, and that's really what we're focusing on.
Okay. So you just see right now you're not looking for fiction, just poetry and anthology.
We are doing short stories.
Short
That's
stories. By short, how many words? What's the word limit?
Under 500 words.
Okay, that is short. Okay. Now anthology. Now that's like that's almost like just that's a study of real life around the world, basically, right? Isn't that what anthology is, basically?
Yeah, a lot of people do themes for anthologies.
Okay.
This first one for us is unthemed, but we're really looking for poems with a lot of imagery and a lot of emotion behind them.
Okay. What about photography? Do you ever done any? I mean, let's say somebody had. I mean, have you ever done photography for professionally or thought about it?
No, not
for
really.
adding to your books too?
Not really, no. I commission people to do the covers usually.
Okay, I see that. And they look
Yeah.
great. But let's say somebody came to you and said, I want to create this photography book, and I have a whole bunch of pictures I took that are really nice. What do you, you know? Would you allow your people to peruse those or not? To try and
Yeah, I have been considering adding photography and artwork into our anthologies, so
Okay.
possibly in the future.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So I assume you're getting a lot of. I mean, how many people have visited you so far in person since you started this company?
Really, just the people that are editing with me. Other people who have been sending in poems, I've had 15 people that we've accepted so far, and we're accepting 30 in total. So.
Okay. And how many people do you have in your staff? It sounds like you got a pretty good staff there.
Yeah, it's just me and 2 other people right now.
Okay. Are you looking to expand eventually? I suppose you eventually, but you have to see how it goes a little at a time.
Exactly, yeah. Once this first anthology comes out, I probably will be looking to have an actual team. We're also going to be putting out full-length poetry collections
Okay.
and short story collections soon. So.
Okay. All right. Now, as far as are you writing something too? Anything? Are you creating any more literature at this time as in addition to your publishing company?
I am. I have another book called Calm in the Dark that's coming out on August 9th.
Okay.
And this one is mostly introspective poems about mental health. So that'll
Okay.
be very exciting.
Mental health, huh? Okay, it's interesting you should say that because I have autism and there might be something, I assume there's a lot of stuff that involving that in your book, am I right?
Yeah, I deal with a lot of things that I've struggled with personally, which is mostly borderline personality disorder, depression,
Okay.
things of that sort. But actually, borderline personality disorder and autism are very closely linked.
Yes,
so.
they are. I mean, I don't know about you, but as a kid, my parents were told by about 2 or 3 shrinks that I should be committed for 3 years, and the only reason I wasn't is because it would have cost $10,000 and they couldn't part with that.
Yeah.
But I was also told, but my parents were also told by these 2 nuns that ran these tests on me at the Hagashi School in Randolph, where, by the way, it has a history of sexual abuse, but it had nothing to do with me because I was just there to get some intuitive tests, and tests of intuition. It was a fun test. They had me raise my hand when I heard a faint sound, and they said, based on my ability to hear his sounds that most people couldn't, that I was gifted. But it took me a lot of years to prove to them, to my parents, that I was gifted, and instead of being somebody that should be locked up for 3 years, which is what I would have been. So I mean, I think you can probably relate to that sort of thing, right? Just based on your own experience, because I know I've been through depression too. I've had issues myself, and I know how. And we all go there. But the great thing about being creative, like you are and like I am, is that it's a great outlet to deal with stuff like that, and you can turn it. It's definitely turning the glass from half empty to half full.
Exactly. I see this as a way to connect with people, and I really have so far. A lot of people have sent me messages about what my poems have done for their mental health and how they feel like they're not alone. So that's kind of why I started writing in the first place.
You know what just occurred to me, and I always try to give advice to my guests that might help them out. Would you ever consider taking your poems to a psychiatric clinic and seeing if maybe they could help the patients?
I never thought about it before, but that's a good idea.
Yeah, like McLean, for instance. The McLean Hospital is right in Belmont. You know where that is? It's right off Route. I was actually seeing a therapist there on an outpatient basis for 3 years in the 90s.
Yeah.
So that might be something to consider.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like you have a way of your material is probably good in soothing people, and that's very important.
Yeah. I've been to McLean before. I've done partial programs there. They're amazing.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's a very nice area, too.
It is.
I actually rode my bike there one day, too, in 1994, on June 28th. It was a long ride. I used to do a lot of bike riding, and I actually got my shirtless body on the cover of the Boston Globe on the first day of winter of 1994 because it was such a mild day that I was able to do that, and that was kind of a fun time doing that and that sort of thing. Oh, all right.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. And when you were at Emerson, did you ever take any psychology courses?
I did. I was a psychology minor, and I am trying to finish my degree in psychology now. So.
Okay, I'm glad I brought it up because now I'm learning more about you than I didn't even know. And would you ever consider, now that I suggested that you bring your poetry to the clinics, what about the possibility of you counseling people using poetry? That might be kind of cool too, yourself.
That would be pretty cool. Eventually, I had hoped to be a guidance counselor for high schools,
Okay.
so it would be nice to connect poetry and psychiatry.
Yeah, you'd be a pioneer because I don't think anyone else has ever done that I'm aware of, at least not lately. Mm-hmm. Do you have any? I mean, are you going to go back to school for more? Let's see. Hold it a little closer. Oh, Guess what? We're down to the final 5 minutes of the show. I can't believe we made it go by so fast. Okay. Now, okay. Well, we'll finish up in a minute. Are you planning on possibly? You're going to go back to school possibly to get a degree in more, in a higher degree in psychology, so you can be a guidance counselor? You probably would have to.
Yeah, I am hoping to do that. Right now, it's a little hard with my kids being so young.
Oh, right,
but
exactly.
We're taking a few classes here and there.
That's good, but at least you're practicing with them, right?
Yeah,
It helps to have kids. And I assume they're happy. Are they happy kids? It sounds like they are. If they want you to sing a song, they must have a pretty fluttery, hot feeling about life, basically, right?
They're very musical and creative and happy. So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. At some point, maybe we'll get them on the show. Just so you know, my age range of guests is 80 years. My oldest guest was 85. My youngest was 5.
Wow.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Kat, I hope you had fun talking to me. I can't believe we made the half hour go by so fast. So what I want you to do is look at your camera there and give some shouts out to people that are going to see the show, because a lot of them are, and then we'll wrap the show up with my snap and the way we began. And this time, I'll hit the stop button the first time, hopefully. But go ahead.
All right. Well, I know my parents are watching, so thank you for all of your support.
Okay. And about your kids, they'll be watching too.
Hopefully, yes. Steve and
Hopefully,
Anna.
okay. All right. Okay. Now, is there anything coming up aside? I know you got your book coming on August 9th, and it is amazing that you have the exact date set. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know the exact date it's going to be ready to unload. But is there anything coming up that you want to mention at all before we wrap the show up? Like that, that I just want to make sure we cover everything.
That was pretty much it. But if anyone has poetry or short stories, we are still accepting submissions for another month and a half. So.
Okay. You want to just name your publishing company again, so they'll know where to submit it, and we'll make sure we get it in the graphics.
It's Grey Coven Publishing, and you can find that on Instagram with Grey Coven Publishing, all one word as the handle.
Grey Coven?
Grey Coven, yes.
Okay. All right. Let me just make sure we spell it right. It's Graycoven.
Greycoven.
I got it.
So
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now, and then of course, the best way to reach you for that is through Instagram, right, or email.
Yep. Instagram and email. They both have the same name. The email is greycovenpublishing@gmail.com.
Okay. We'll make sure we get that on the graphics. Okay. All right. Now, if you had fun with me, if you know anybody else that might be an interesting guest for my show, you got my digits. Feel free to give them my digits, and we'll get them on the show either in person or by Zoom. Like I said, I always prefer the in-person interview, but Zoom will work. I'm sure you have a lot of connections around the country based on your success and all your traveling that you've done and all the people that you've worked with. And so just feel free to pass my digits along, and we'll get them on as guests.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Kat, you ready to wrap the show up the way we began it with the snapping?
Yep.
All right, folks, wrapping up another great Topic Time show. See you next time. Signing off and rolling out. All right.